garden that is absolutely full of biomass. We got leaves, we got stems, we got branches, we got trunks, everything in there. So I thought today would be a great time to go live and do a defoliation, show you guys kind of what I do, go through the process. These girls are approximately like, I want to say a month and a half into the veg stage where they really start getting big. So they're starting to show off their genetic traits. I've been able to identify females, and I've been iffy on if some are males, but hopefully we can get some definitive answers today. I'm going to adjust the camera a little bit. Don't need you guys too close so you can't see what's going on. So right now, I took the strawberry banana out and I did a thumbnail. So that's the one you will see if everything is going as it should. I have not topped these plants. I have not done low stress training other than like stem rubs every once in a while, maybe like once a week, once every other week to get a good sense of what they smell like. These are some of the most intense smelling genetics that I've ever had across the board. They all have like their unique smells. Some are more like essential oil, some are gas, and some are fruity. It's really nice to have that mix, and it's good to know I'm going to have a good variety of terpene profiles when it comes to harvest time and the actual using of these plants. But what are we doing exactly when we do defoliation is I'm going to basically be taking off lower portions of the plant, leaves that aren't quite doing anything for the plant, kind of just sucking energy, sticking around. Even though they're not dead, even though they're absorbing some light, they're likely not going to amount to anything. And we kind of want that all to be transferred up here. After all, at least when it comes to the strawberry banana feminized seed, it is for sure going outside, and I want it to yield me a lot, and I want to have to tie up this plant for it to get its potential out, because that's how you know you're doing something right. So coming in here, I'm not even going to start with the scissors. I'm going to put those to the side for now. I'm just going to start pulling stuff off this small vegetation down here, cleaning it up a little. With the setup that I have, I can't be letting the vegetation get super thick, or what's going to happen is I'm going to run the risk of mold and mildew and problems like that, and also letting bugs inhabit my grow space, which I've had to deal with in the recent past growing those chill out OGs, and let me tell you, it is not a great situation. So we're just coming up here, plucking some stuff off, getting some of these shoots down here that don't look like they're going to amount to anything, or even if they do, they're going to grow into the plant's main body, create more thickness on the inside, which is something we want to avoid if we can. And in particular, for this strawberry banana, it looks like it's a plant that's really good with not doing that, and a problem and a solution is, well, not a solution, but this stem, I pulled something off of it and it kind of bent down. You can see it's looking kind of gnarly there, that one hanging away at the end. Why it broke is because I pulled something off and it took a little bit more matter than I thought it would, and these branches are very thin. But what I think is going on is the nutrients that I'm using, specifically the stash blend with their silica, it's making it so that stem isn't going to break any more than simply bending over. And this branch could possibly come out stronger, and even if it doesn't, we can simply come in here later, remove that, and then this energy from this branch is going to be shot up here. And maybe we can clone this. This seems like it would be a very good clone candidate for these genetics. And then I could put that clone through some training and see what this plant can really do if I were more attentive to it. This experiment I'm doing is to find out what I can discover growing genetics without giving them any training, see the big differences, what is actually happening when I'm putting them through that, just to get a good compare and contrast, because I have participated in low stress training and I've been a strong advocate for low stress training ever since I got into the game. And I've done high stress training here and there. It's not my main priority though. And we're doing a chop and drop method, so we're kind of building up a mulch layer of the plant's own leaves. And I don't want to cross-contaminate if I can avoid it, because one plant might have something that the other doesn't, and vice versa. And I don't want to spread anything through the roots that might be coming out of the leaves. That might be a little bit of a paranoid step. I'm actually going to prop this branch up just to give it a better chance, because if I do want to harvest it later for a clone, I'm going to actually need it to be alive, so I can't let it just die there. But that's one plant of basic defoliation. You can see we didn't take a lot off, but there's also not a lot to work with. This is not a very dense plant at all, so thankfully we don't have to work on that one long. And I'll just leave her out here, and we'll move out to the next one, which this is a blueberry plant, and this one's just absolutely phenomenal. This is basically the perfect veg density that I would be looking for in a plant. If I were to branch this off, it would be very easy to manipulate this plant into something that has very high potential. The nodal spacing is beautiful. There's enough to get aeration in there, and especially with growing outdoors where this girl is going to be going at some point, I want to be able to maximize what I can in a square space, and more buds per square inch, square foot, is going to lead to a higher yield. We've talked about taking up as much space as possible and making your space as efficient as possible, and that all starts with not only a grow space, but also what genetics you're dealing with. And then you have to have it loose enough to where it's not going to succumb to, again, mold, pests, all those other kinds of issues that come with having dense, moist spaces in a high humidity environment like Michigan, where I'm from. But hey, if you're in a drier space, maybe you can get away with different genetics, and that's why the game's so interesting. But for this one, I'm going to be a little bit more extreme with it. I'm going to leave on the bigger fan leaves, but I'm going to take a lot of the little shoots off of the bottom, because I want all the energy transferred up here. And then I think I'll do some cleaning up in the mid to top section up here, just to ensure that we are getting the best growth out of this plant. Because while I don't want to train them in a bending over sense, manipulating them to get more yield that way, I do still want well manicured plants that aren't going to cause a problem and get infected and all that type of stuff. So for this one, I am going to use the scissors. Going to be a little bit more delicate, learning from the strawberry banana, but same thing here. And while you're doing this process, if you have the space to do so, this is where I would start taking clones, is when you're starting to just cut all these shoots off. Just take all the lower ones off. These would make pretty good clone candidates right here. It's not the strongest start, but coming from the bottom, you're going to have pretty good clones. But if you want the highest quality clones, I would say going towards the top. But doing a defoliation is a really good point to do so, because you can find healthy growth down there. It's just not as healthy as the tops up here. And some of these fan leaves, they're starting to droop down, and I want to avoid them touching the soil unless they are dismembered from the plant, because I don't want that to be like a major highway from the soil. And that might be a little bit of paranoia, but that's something I learned pretty early on from Pigeons 420, watching him before he showed his face, talking about even with your small seedlings and bending them over when you do low stress training, just removing those bigger leaves that are touching the soil, because it's not going to do too much good for you there anyway. Definitely not doing the heaviest defoliation in the world. These plants are only so mature. I just wanted to come in here, do something pretty basic, clean them up a little bit, because they were looking a little dangled up. And you guys can't quite see what's going on, so I think I'm going to angle you down a little bit. Just kind of noticed here that your guys' angle could be better. But how's everyone's weekend starting off? What's everyone smoking and all that jazz? Do you have plants that you want to get ready for the outdoor season? What genetics are you growing? Tell me all about it. I want to hear what's growing on with everybody. And these plants are starting to make my closet look extremely small, which it's not a big closet, but it can fit a lot in there. And that's what matters. So we got two more plants here. I believe these are both Chill Out OGs. We got a Chill Out OG, that's the number 1, and this is the number 3 right here. So the Chill Out OGs, these are the F3 generation that Mr. Grow It very generously sent me. And the thing with Mr. Grow It's genetic, the Chill Out OG, is that it is a very, very dense plant, and the humidity and all that stuff is a big issue. I love a lot of things about this plant, but the one thing I can't get over is I'm having a hard time getting over the fact that I face problems with this plant, and it probably wasn't the plant's fault. It was most likely my fault. But hopefully we can have a redemption grow and grow a higher quality Chill Out OG like I've grown genetics in the past. It's always easier the second time around after you get a little bit more familiar with the plant. Now this one's kind of growing straight up, having dense nodes and small branches coming off the side, which is a really cool thing when you're going for like a solo cup run or a small pot run and you want to grow like one cola, or a sea of green scenario, I guess is what I'm trying to think of, because it's a very narrow profile if you don't train it, or at least every single one from this popping session has gone just kind of growing in this very uniform shape. And I don't know if that's something Mr. Grow It was striving for, or if it was just a side effect of looking for tight nodal structure. But if you're doing a sea of green scenario, Joe, good morning. How is it going? You're at the beach watching TV? Is that what you said? Ah, at the beach on TV. Fantastic. Well, it's good to see ya. It's getting a quick defoliation on these plants. And one thing I also don't like, some junk on this leaf right here. Just making sure it wasn't like a big bug. Looks like it's like dust or part of the rug. I don't know. But yeah, no, I really like these genetics. If you're doing a sea of green scenario where you're going to be popping a bunch of beans, maybe doing a pheno hunt that way, I think the Chill Out OG would be a perfect one for that kind of scenario. These plants are going to end up getting extremely tall, so I just kind of want to strip the bottom half. They're going to grow tall, they're going to grow strong, and they're going to grow dense. So the reason I'm going to cut the bottom half now is because when I do a transplant, I'm probably going to bury it up to like here, and then all this area is going to be turning into roots to strengthen that root system with the stem, while at the same time lowering the height in that pot. Another or the same ladybug. It could be a Asian beetle. My wife was talking about those, and she actually identified one in our house. And I feel like they're a lot more common than ladybugs are now. So this is kind of the job we did on this Chill Out OG. I think stripping the bottom for these ones especially is going to work in my favor, because just the energy save getting sent to the top. There's not as much going on down here, so there's not as much risk. I feel like a lot of this vegetation down here wouldn't amount to much in the grand scheme of things. It could, because it's on the outside, but I think I'd rather just bury it another couple of inches, give it a good strong foundation, and have it go through the growing phase with a very promising start. Because when you have plants that are going to finish probably in early October, late September, you have a lot of time to grow. So if this is not a male and none of these are males, I'm going to be putting females outside, and then I'm going to take like a small handful of clones to actually breed with and create my first ever round of seeds. And some of them are going to be peanut butter breath, and I'm going to use those to make a cross, and then I want to also breed with the Chill Out OGs. So I might make a F1 of a peanut butter breath Chill Out OG cross. I think that could be pretty interesting, depending on how the terpene profiles mash up. So we'll kind of see how that goes, but these are the two Chill Out OGs, just kind of strip the bottoms, and I didn't go as far up on one as I did the other. Sorry, your chats kind of disappear here, so I gotta... do you make the cuttings along the edge before you... So you can make the cuttings along the edge. I definitely prefer to. How soon before you start putting them outside? I'm not 100% sure when I'm going to be putting them outside. It's either going to be really early in the season because they outgrow their grow space, or it's going to be a little... it's going to be like... What is it? Fucking... I don't know. There's a certain date where it actually starts going into a veg period, light time-wise, and I think we're pretty close to it. I think it's around... I want to say it's around Mother's Day, but don't quote me on that. It might be a couple days after or something. I'm not an expert. Cut down 5 new crosses last night. That's pretty awesome, man. I'm glad you were able to do that. Started in March a couple of years ago. That was way too early. I'm not really worried about starting super early at this point. It's just that since I live in Michigan right now, I'm pretty much waiting for the weather to be consistent temperature-wise, because I'm pretty sure the right temperatures will come after the right light cycle. And I don't want to put my plants in a situation where I have to re-veg them even if they're only flowering for like 2 weeks. That could still be a little bit stressful. I'm sure they'd have plenty of time to recover, but why do that and ruin the momentum when I could just keep them in the closet for a little longer, you know what I mean? So I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to look up on it and when the actual day is and how that correlates with the weather. I'm not an outdoor expert. I've only done outdoor the past couple of years successfully. The past 2 years since I've been living here, I believe. So that's the basis of my experience. I have no real knowledge of growing outdoor other than studying it for a long time. And how people do it, and not so much when to plant, because I didn't care so much about that. Mother's Day is pretty much the end of the frost. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure I heard Mother's Day. So, it'll be around Mother's Day. So, on this is a Chill Out OG. Also, this is Chill Out OG number 4. A little shorter than the other ones, and that could be my fault. It could just be genetics, because as you can see, this one is a lot more dense than the others seem to be. And then this is the Chill Out OG number 2. Looking very much like just a normal run-of-the-mill veg plant. It's not a super out-of-the-ordinary structure that I've seen from a lot of genetics in the past. It's just kind of average. It's a little bit thicker than normal, which I appreciate. It's a good, strong foundation, the thick trunks that some of these plants develop, and I feel like the earlier the better for that. So we're seeing a lot of strong breeding candidates, which is probably typical of F3s. You don't really get onto an F3 generation without having desirable traits. That doesn't really happen. And when it comes to breeding genetics so far, Mr. Grow It seems to know what he's doing. He seems to know what he's looking for and has a very particular taste. This doesn't give off the impression that he was doing a pollen chucking experiment. Based on his description and based on growing these genetics, I can say that with very strong confidence that this was a very intentional move, creating these genetics, which is what people should strive for, is creating a genetic that you believe in, that has a real purpose, that isn't just going to be another plant, just shooting for another level of quality. Now, there are people who are just going to make a bunch of genetics just because they love the game, they love creating a genetic. But the people who are going into it, like me, who doesn't want to create a ton of strains, I want to create a couple strains that I can say are perfect for specific things. When you go into it like that, you need to make very intentional moves, and I don't know how far Mr. Grow It wants to go with all this. I can't speak for him, but he's on the right road for whatever he wants to do. Also, he just got married, so shout out, congratulations. He got married this past weekend. So that's all very good. Another thing I'm taking off are these giant fan leaves on the top. I mean, look at this thing. It's like the size of my hand, basically. Yeah, he's a great dude. I've been following him for a long time. I was on his podcast. He's a solid guy, very understanding. We actually had to shoot it twice because of technical problems, because I shot the episode with my phone, and apparently the website has trouble dealing with phone audio, and I had my mic plugged in to my phone so we could actually make the video call with decent quality audio, and we ended up having to reshoot that video another week or two later. So that was actually take 2 of that episode, and the old episode was just so low quality that it didn't even, like, it would not have been listening toable. He sent me a clip and I was like, dude, that's fucked, let's do this again. So we worked out a time, and it was just really solid, really understanding guy, very patient. We worked pretty well together for the short time we did, and I can't wait to have more opportunities to work with those guys. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about them. They're just really cool dudes who have been doing it for a long time. Love for the passion, love for the game, and love for the plant. So moving on to the next thing, we got something kind of unique going on over here, which is why I want to get to it next. So right here, we have the Peanut Butter Breath number 3. This is the 3rd pheno, and it's pretty dense, kind of shooting up similar to the Chill Out OG, with an underwhelming performance of the branches. And that could be from, you see there might be a little newt issues going on, a little bit of burn maybe. Could probably go for a flush, maybe high ppm, maybe looking for a different pH, could be. Not 100% sure, but it does look like this plant's dealing with something. So I'm just going to take off the longer, lankier leaves, and that could also be from light depravity. It could just be how the genetics are. But no matter how we're looking at it here, this plant is dealing with quite a bit of stress, which is a good thing, is a bad thing, mostly because I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm trying to give these plants the best shot at being healthy as I can. So I'm just going to take a little bit off of the bottom here, take off the longer fan leaves, try to make sure that we're not getting too crowded in this veg room, and that the vegetation we do leave on will actually amount to something. So we're just going to pop that leaf off, and we're going to pop this one off right here. Let's leave enough for it to do its thing. Looking a little rough. The top, the new growth, it's a little bit curled up, and it's a little bit folding over on itself. You can kind of see there. looking a little rough. But right over here, the Peanut Butter Breath 2. Now, coincidentally, the Peanut Butter Breath 2 is the pot I decided to throw that second seed in. That wasn't quite germinating fast. I had it in the paper towel for like 5 days, I want to say. 5 days to a week. And that plant just did not germinate, did not shoot out a taproot. So I decided just to throw the bean in with one of the other peanut butter breaths, because I was like, if it does sprout, then I'll grow 2 plants in one pot. And if it doesn't, then it was just a dud seed that's might break down and give a little bit of nutrients to the plant. But it seems that these plants are competing with each other. They're not doing well with each other, and that could have a lot to do with how I'm treating the plant. They did sprout very close to each other, you can see, but this was 2 seeds. It was not one plant, or it was not one plant, one seed that produced 2 plants. It was 2 seeds, and one did not germinate as fast as the other. And now they are competing for nutrients, and they are competing for space. Very rough position for these plants to be in, that I put them in. But it is a good indication of what I could expect from these 2 specific genetics if they do potentially get into a position where someone's growing them with a cover crop, or they're growing them with another plant a little bit too close and make a common growing mistake. If I breed these together, and if I make a cross with these plants, will they outshine other competing plants in the area? And there's only one way to find out, and that's to grow them. And against each other, it's kind of an even match. They're not that much different in size. You can see one's like 1.5 inches taller than the other, but at the same time, one also sprouted sooner than the other. So it got a little bit of a head start. I've always been told you really should not. You cannot grow 2 plants in the same pot. They could strangle each other out. How am I going to separate them? I'm not sure if I'm going to separate them. What I am going to do, though, is I am going to take clones of both of them, or one of them, depending on their gender, most likely. And I'm going to clone them, keep them, breed them, most likely, or keep them for yield if I need to. So these 2 plants specifically, I'm going to keep in here and find out what happens. Transfer out of the bags and then into bigger pots. So basically, what I'm trying to do here is just maximize my real estate. I mean, we'll see. It's a big possibility that they could strangle each other out. I mean, their roots are intertwined. So it would make sense. The way I would separate these, because I've thought about it a lot, if they start to struggle too much, start drooping, start getting super sad, what I will do as a last resort is I will take these plants out and I will spray them with a hose, get all the roots kind of washed off of the dirt, and then I will separate them that way. I will either use scissors to cut the roots and then plant them with what's left, or I will just kind of pull them apart and see what happens depending on what the root situation is really looking like. So I have a backup plan, but I want to stay committed to doing this stupid little experiment. So that's exactly what I'm doing, and I might do a video about it. I might document it a little bit more deeply, just to give people an idea of what happens when they do this. And if I did this on purpose, if I wanted this to happen, if I really planned this out, what I would have done, or if I were to do it again, is I would have planted them and separated them. I probably would have planted them in like a 10-gallon pot and planted them like a couple more inches away from each other, like a little bit more away. Like one would be on one side of the pot and one would be on the other, and they would have a lot more space to grow before they actually competed with each other in that pot. Or, you know, I could just build a garden, but who has time for that, right? But yeah, that's the Peanut Butter Breath 3 and the Peanut Butter Breath 2s. And we have one plant left to get in here and defoliate. And this one right here is the Peanut Butter Breath 1. Look at this thing. If this is not a breeding candidate, I don't know what is. Because if you compare it to another one, let's see. I know I have more Peanut Butter Breath. I just had, like, if you compare it to the 3, just look at how different in size they are. Absolutely crazy. So this one, if this is a, let's see actually, if I can determine if it's a male or a female. I can't tell. I can't get a read on it. Yeah, this Peanut Butter Breath 1 is actually extremely impressive. I can't tell if it's male or female. I'm seeing no sex signs. I'm not even seeing a callus where the pollen sacs would be if it were male. But no matter what this is, male or female, it is a near perfect breeding specimen because it's tall, it's shooting branches out, but it also is, I don't know, something about the structure I can't really describe. It's just, I guess it's evenly proportioning the branches, giving it a more sophisticated look that I really like. So I think I'm going to tear everything down from here down. And then all this up here is going to grow much bigger. And I'm going to take this plant and put it in a very large pot. I'm talking like 20-gallon pot and probably burying it up to these leaves by the time we get there. So I'm basically going to bury half this plant's mass into soil once I get to that point. So we're going to take our scissors because we're going to need them. And we'll just start chopping away. And also, one hope from defoliating these plants as heavily as I'm doing it right now is that hopefully these plants that aren't showing sex signals or they're showing very weak sex signs, I hope that cutting these plants, getting in here, defoliating these, getting a lot of this material off, causing them to have to heal themselves without doing low stress training, bending them over, without doing topping, anything that's going to change the genetic coding or genetic way of growing, I think is going to show a sex signal. It is going to make it obvious which plant is going to go where, what I'm going to clone, what I'm going to just put outside and see what happens. It's a very positive thing. And then at the same time, I'm also making my garden healthier, so that's something you need to pay attention to, is your garden healthy? And I was neglecting my plants for a long time. Let's stress our plant time, dude. 100%. It is time to stress our plants because these plants they got it too easy. Let's be real. They're spoiled, rotten plants. But I have defoliate. Well, I could do more on this plant right here. I didn't really do much on this Chill Out OG number 4. So we'll bring this one back and cut a little bit more off there because I do want to clean up the bottom of these plants, and one thing that's going to do is really help with the aeration. I have a few fans in here. I have 3 total fans, but I'm only running 2, and actually one of them I want to take down because it is actually broken and it's been hanging there for a while and I'm kind of paranoid about it breaking. if I'm being 100% real, and then probably going to have to get a new fan to put in there. So, little switch up on that Chiletto G4, get this leaf stem off. Hopefully we can help with the water retention because these girls are drinking pretty heavily. But other than that, that's pretty much all we got. It's been a little bit since that garden's been completely empty, I think. But I'm very excited about this round. Things are extremely promising, both when it comes to outdoor yield and indoor breeding. I think when it comes to the breeding, not only am I going to have very few plants, but they're also going to be pretty small. I think I'm going to take those clones, and as soon as I put them in, I'm probably going to want to use 3-gallon pots just to be safe. Put them in 3-gallon pots. I'm going to do that transplant. I'm going to wait a week. I'm going to put them on the flower cycle, and we are going to breed those as fast as I can. They say to trim, not to trim autos because it can mess up. Yeah, they say to do not a lot of things with autos, and I think the thing to do with autos is just not buy them. Is a big thing. Feminized seeds, photoperiod seeds, regular photoperiod seeds, they're going to be the best bang for your buck. Whether you get regular seeds and you clone them and keep the keeper phenos and you want that genetic stability and you're paranoid about hermaphroditic traits, or if you get feminized and you want to almost guarantee that you get flower off of those seeds, then that's something you're going to want to buy. But I would not waste your money on autos unless you never want to smoke the same thing again. That's one thing that's big for me. You can get good yields off of autos. I've seen it. They get pretty big. But the one big thing why I will never do autos except for content is because those genetics are going to end, and they're going to end extremely quickly. But doing a breeding project or doing cloning can ensure that you have high quality cannabis for a very long time. And I'm here, my main mission personally is for the longevity, so I'm a little bit biased, but I want to make a big positive impact on the community, and I'm not going to be able to do that if I'm shilling out auto seeds that are going to be a very limited time thing. I want to put something out there that people can do what they want with it, and it will be around for a long time, even after I'm gone. And that's the hope. That's just something that I really hope happens. But it all starts in this closet over here. And if as far as I get is smoking genetics that I created, then I can take pride in that. And I can take pride in the fact that my friends are going to be treated very well for a long time, even if I don't make a worldwide impact, which is very much difficult. But I want to do something because I'm passionate about the game, and I love this plant so much, and I have for a very long time. And speaking of loving plants, I love the way this peanut butter breath smells, and I love the leaf shape. Everything about this pheno right here, I love it so much. The shooting upness, the branching out, the leaf structure, it shows that it has a lot of promise in hey, if your autoflower experiment, if your breeding is working out for you, that's all I really care about. But I'm just here to speak about my preferences. I can't talk for anybody. If you don't understand the mindset of someone, it's very hard to speak to them or speak for them. Sorry, not speak to them. A little bit of misspeak there. But basically when I'm looking at these plants and I'm looking for their breeding, I'm looking to want to plant them. I look at it as if I'm looking to get an athlete onto my sports team. Do they have the genetic coding that has potential, that if put under a training regimen, they could absolutely dominate the game? And if I were to pass these genetics off to my offspring, would it be a promising result? Most likely. Is there enough here to want to breed with? And I would say for this peanut butter breath right here, from what I'm seeing so far, if this is a male, it is a very, very strong candidate to be chucking pollen onto female. So this is what I got going in the garden. This is my little chore day that I had to do, and a little look at my genetics and what's kind of going on behind the scenes. So I hope you enjoyed the live stream. Any questions, comments, concerns can be left in the comment section down below. Make sure you hit the like button on your way out, and maybe share this little live stream to someone who's wondering about genetics, wondering about what we're going to be doing about breeding. And fuck, I mean, we also talked about my preference in seeds, so fuck it, just share it to anybody. But this has been my garden. I'm going to put everything away here, which is boring enough to where I'll probably turn the camera off before that. So I hope everyone has a great weekend, enjoyed this little short live stream, and I will see you guys next time. Yeah, no problem at all, man. I love showing off the garden. It's kind of what we do here. And I try to do it as much as possible, even though YouTube doesn't like it. But this has been CE420 live with you in the garden, showing off genetics, and I will see you next time. Thank you very much.